What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 37 of the Diego Collie Football Show. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my face, testing it out with the face cam a little bit. Gonna eventually work down the road to add some visuals to the screen. Just kind of trying to figure it out, navigate through taking the next step of the podcast. So excited for that. You can also, nothing will change with the audio version. It's still going to be available on all platforms. So let's get right into it. Today's Wednesday. And we had a huge weekend of football. And I mean, what a weekend it was. I'm going to start with the Seahawks. Saturday night, I was there, Lumen Field, divisional round game against the 49ers. What a dominant performance by the Seattle Seahawks. 41-6. They left no doubt. And I mean, I was one of many people, I think, who thought that the Seahawks wouldn't be able to hold Kyle Shanahan to under 10 points again, hold him out of the end zone again, but that's exactly what they did. And I think that says a lot about the Seahawks team, because it kind of just shows you that it doesn't matter what circumstance, what narrative that's being built up before a game, that's not going to affect this team in this locker room. They block out all the outside noise. It doesn't matter who you line up across from them. They're going to do their job week in and week out, and they're going to handle business, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, from the jump, talk about setting the tone in a playoff game. Rashid Shaheed takes the kickoff return to the house. And I mean, that place was rocking. The Shaheed quake, the earthquake meter goes off. They couldn't have jumped for a better start. And I mean, I saw multiple people tweet this, multiple stats to this. Literally, if they didn't do anything the rest of the game, they had won the game. They held the Niners to 6 points. And I think that was dominant. And their special teams has been so good all year. Jay Harbaugh's been an absolute mastermind with the special teams. But that first defensive drive kind of just set the tone for me as well. The first play of the game, you have Brock Purdy dropping back to pass. He gets blown up, and his arm gets hit. It looks like, arguably, there could have been an argument set in for it to have been a fumble. It wasn't. It was incomplete pass, and they just had nothing. Even the first downs that Brock Purdy was converting, it was not easy. It was him running around the backfield, making a tight window throw to Jawan Jennings or to Jake Tonjes, who had 59 receiving yards and also went out with an injury. They were 6-12 on third down, 0-for-3 on fourth down. That's 3 turnovers there. I actually, there was a point in the game when I was thinking, Brock Purdy's earned a lot of my respect in this game. Like the way he was running around, I mean, it was impressive. He wasn't just taking a sack, or he wasn't just turtling and throwing the ball. Like, it was a playoff game. Like, he was playing exactly like that. But the Seahawks defense was just too much. And I believe he spoke after the game, and he said something along the lines of, yeah, they really take away the deep stuff and they make you want to throw the ball underneath, something like that. Like they want you to throw the ball underneath and make the catch because they know they're going to come down and make the tackle. And he did not have a willingness to do that at all. I think it's a big weakness in his game. Brock Purdy's never been a guy that's going to play on time, on target, and kind of play in the structure that Kyle Shanahan wants him to play. All of his highlights, all of his best plays are coming when he is doing the extra stuff, running around in the backfield, finding a guy open, making a few defensive linemen miss. And that's just the Seahawks defense is not going to let you do that. You need to be able to take the underneath stuff. I mean, going back and watching the early portion of the game and a majority of the game, there's guys open underneath. You can check it down to Christian McCaffrey. You can check it down to Jawan Jennings. You can check it down to guys in the flat. But I feel like maybe Brock didn't have a willingness to do that due to, in that first game, every time he did that, the guy was just getting blown up in the flat. It was not like they had success. Like he was taking the underneath throws in the first game that they played in week 18, and it had zero success. The Seahawks tackling was very good in that game. They only had 3 missed tackles that entire game. I mean, in this game, I'm not quite sure what they had there. I can pull it up. But I mean, it was an elite performance. Looking at the defensive side of the ball in the PFF grades, Ernest Jones graded that in a 90. I thought he had arguably his best game of the season. Forced a fumble, had an interception. I mean, he was flying all over the field. Devin Witherspoon had an elite game. So many guys on this team just were elite on this defense. I mean, so many people. They only had 5 missed tackles. 2 of those come from Uchenna Nwosu, which is kind of those ones around the line of scrimmage. I feel like another telling play to me, Kyle Shanahan. He was outthought in he was so in his own head, and I knew that when the first fourth down of the game, they get to, I believe it's a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2, and Mike McDonald calls a timeout right before the first play is going to happen. And he's pissed at the ref. He's angry. And in that play, they were in shotgun, and they were letting Brock drop back. And he actually completed the pass, but the whistle was blown, so it wasn't going to count. And they come out, and they run a speed option with Kyle Juszczyk. where he's supposed to pitch it to Christian McCaffrey to the weak side of the field. That means that they're going to the side of the field with less room on it compared to the hash. So on the right side of the right hash, they're going to the right side of the field. What kind of a play call is that? I mean, Brock Purdy he's going to be the guy that you want the ball in his hands there, or Christian McCaffrey. You're putting the ball in Kyle Juszczyk's hands to run a speed option to the right. That's when it fell over, to be honest. It felt like there's nothing that they're going to be able to get out of the Seahawks defense. There was another point in this game in the first half when they run a double reverse flea flicker that ends up in a 1-yard gain. Like, they're pulling out all the tricks for 1-yard gains, pulling out a speed option on 4th and 1 with your fullback to no avail. It was a pathetic effort from the 49ers offense. A pathetic effort, in my opinion. On the Seahawks offensive side, there was a Sam Darnold smoke for a majority of the week. It was, or a majority of the end of the week. It was, is Darnold going to play? The national reporters really egging it on, in my opinion. It was, he hasn't thrown a ball since Thursday. Well, he didn't throw a ball Thursday because he aggravated his oblique. And Friday they had a walkthrough. There was no need to make this guy throw the ball in the walkthrough if you didn't want to aggravate his oblique when you had a game on Saturday. So obviously he was not going to throw the ball on Friday. And then he does this. I don't know if it was kind of dramatic, but he warms up in the locker room. So he wasn't. There was a bunch of these tweets. Darnold's not on the field before the game. That kind of stressed people out. It was just a lot of. It was interesting. And then he comes out in his pads with everyone else, warms up, seems fine. And this is the most ideal game plan and game script for a team with a quarterback who's might not be 100%, because they didn't need him to drop back 30 times. I mean, he threw the ball 17 times, didn't he? Wasn't it 17? Yeah, 12 of 17, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. And he did exactly what he had to do. Only had 5 incompletions, got sacked twice. He moved fine. He hit a few good out route throws. He had an out route to Cooper Kupp early in the game. It was a 2nd and 17. He drills a corner out to Cooper Kupp on that touchdown to JSN, which was a great play. He's rolling to his left. He flips his hips and throws a dart to the corner to JSN. And that's, I mean, his oblique was fine. They numbed him. He wasn't going to feel anything. It didn't get worse throughout the game. That was everything you could want to see. The running game, Kenneth Walker, 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. Game of his career. And it unfortunately comes because Zach Charbonnet is down for the year with a torn ACL. Just unfortunate news there. He's been a guy that's been so stable all year. He's been kind of that rock in the backfield because Kenneth Walker's been the more injury-prone guy. So to lose him, it sucks, especially at this time of the year. But this game showed you Kenneth Walker is built to take that workload. He can do that. And this is what we're going to need to see next week against LA. This is going to need to be a Kenneth Walker 20-plus carry game, in my opinion. There's no other guy on your roster, I think, that should be taking the Zach Charbonnet step up in carries. It shouldn't be Velus Jones. It shouldn't be Cam Akers. The only person you can make an argument that should get maybe some, this should be the RB2, in my opinion, is George Hilani, but we'll see if he's able to come off IR this week. I'm not sure what they want to do there. Another option is Rashid Shaheed. He can be the guy that takes, he took 2 carries in this game, 27 yards. He can take those outside sweeps. I don't want to run between the tackles. I don't want to run our trade deadline acquisition between the tackles that many times, but he can take 3 or 4 carries. I'm fine with that. But we'll talk about that game on Friday. It was a great game for Kenneth Walker. A legacy game, 3 touchdowns. He didn't get his touchdowns taken in this game. I'd like for that not to happen this week. Let him be the goal line back. There's no reason for him not to be. Another bright spot in this game was Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, his best game of the season, 5 receptions, 60 yards. He was that reliable 3rd down target for Sam Darnold. Kind of what I was expecting and what I wanted to see from him all year. This is kind of the role that I envisioned Cooper Kupp in when he came over. And he kind of I wouldn't say it was a failed season, but he just wasn't that much of an impact on the passing game. And he was in this game. So that was, you love to see that from him. On the Niners side, it was Christian McCaffrey was shut out, 11 carries for 35 yards. He went out with an injury early in the second half, I believe, and came back in. Jake Tonjes was the leading receiver. Jawan Jennings was 2 for 23, had a few drop balls. Ricky Pearsall, 0 yards, 0 catches. Kendrick Bourne, 0 catches. DeMarcus Robinson, who had 115 last week, goes for 1 catch, 1 yard. It was just a dominant performance by the Seahawks. There's not many other ways to phrase it. It was pure dominance from the opening kickoff, and that's all you can ask for. They're in a situation where they get to rest their starters in the 4th quarter of this game, and the LA Rams, who we'll talk about later, had an absolute dogfight in Chicago. So I don't think this game could have gone any better for the Seahawks. Dream for them. And I mean, it's on to LA. It was always going to be the Rams. It was always going to be Seahawks and the Rams in the NFC. And it's hard not to look forward to that one. That game feels like you don't want to look past anyone, but that game feels like arguably the Super Bowl. So we'll go to Saturday morning. The Bills versus the Broncos. And what a game this was. It was a cool situation being at Lumen Field. Was watching the game before at some restaurants from the stadium. And we go into the stadium around 4. It's just on the Jumbotron as it's playing. When the game goes into overtime, the Seahawks game was supposed to start. It was supposed to start in 9 minutes, I believe. The players were about to run out. And they push it back 10 minutes. And then they dim the lights because the players were about to run out. And for about a 5 to 10 minute span, the whole stadium is full. Every single seat is full because everyone's expecting the game to start. Everyone's just watching the game on the Jumbotron. It was a pretty sick atmosphere. Everyone just reacting to what was happening there. But what a game this was, and what a unfortunate loss for the Buffalo Bills, and a loss in different ways for the Denver Broncos. But it sucks because this felt like it was the Bills' year. There was no other real alphas in the AFC. There was no Patrick Mahomes. There was no Lamar. There was no Burrow. There was none of these alpha dogs. And Josh Allen was by far and away the best quarterback left, but arguably the best player left in the AFC. And he lost in the game. That's the unfortunate kind of part about it, is Josh Allen lost in this football game. I mean, just turning the ball over at this volume is never going to win you a football game. And for it to happen in the biggest moment of the season, I mean, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. James Cook has a fumble, 5 turnovers as a team. I mean, it sucks. It sucks because Josh he had it. He threw for 283 yards, 25 of 39, threw for 3 touchdowns. He was there in big moments, but he missed throws. He missed Dawson Knox on a game-clinching throw, arguably on the Brandon Cooks play. A little bit underthrown. He just wasn't fully on. And they put up 30. If you told me they were going to put up 30 on the Denver Broncos defense, I would have told you they were going to win this game. Josh gifts the Broncos 3 points before half. Those 3 points end up being very, very massive. That could have won you the game in regulation. You're down 10 at halftime, and you come out and fumble, and you hold them. You fumble in the second play of the half, and you hold them to 3 points, and then you kind of start to surge back, and you take the lead. And Bo Nix, and I'll give it to Bo Nix, he impressed me in this game. He played a good football game. 26 of 46, threw for 3 touchdowns with a lacking run game. I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, 4 carries for 21 yards. RJ Harvey, 6 for 20. Bo Nix was their leading rusher, 12 carries for 29 yards. He carried the Broncos in this game. And the unfortunate reality of he's going to miss the rest of the season. I mean, what a bombshell that was, where everyone's at the Seahawks game, and I get the notification, and I'm like, my dad's like, it has to be fake. And it was real. Bo Nix done for the year. Sean Payton announces it. That is just a crushing blow to a team that was the highest of highs, going to the AFC Championship. You're the 1 seed. You're hosting the AFC Championship, and Jarrett Stidham is going to lead the team out of the tunnel at Mile High next Sunday. But we'll talk about the game at the end of the week. But Marvin Mims, 8 receptions, 93 yards, led the entire weekend in receiving. Cortland Sutton, 4 for 53. It was a well-rounded affair. I mean, Bo Nix was spreading the ball around. There was no real one guy that stepped up. Cortland Sutton's supposed to be your one alpha guy, and he was not there in this game. Marvin Mims was that guy for them. Made a great catch in the end zone. Lil Jordan Humphrey also made a great catch in the end zone for a touchdown. On the Bills side, it was the tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 83. Dawson Knox, 3 for 32. Shakir for 7 for 75. Again, it's poor roster construction on the half of the Buffalo Bills, which when it gets into Sean McDermott being fired, I don't have an issue with that. I think that it was time. When you're in one place for so long and you just can't get over that hump, eventually it just becomes time for both sides to move on. And the puzzling thing about that for me is that Brandon Beane, the GM, gets to stick around. He put together this roster it's not like an elite roster. The defense has flaws right now. It does. The secondary's old. They have a poor run defense. I don't know what this guy, they didn't give Josh Allen a feasible receiver 1 for multiple years. I mean, Keon Coleman was a bust. I think it's poor roster construction. I think that it doesn't really make sense to me that guy still has a job, if I'm being honest. James Cook ran the ball well. It was just the turnovers. I mean, the guys on the Bills offense played well. But when you turn the ball over 5 times, you're not going to win a football game. Shout out to the Broncos. Bo Nix threw 1 interception. So the defensive tackle made a great play. And they took care of the ball, and they won this game by 3 points and won the turnover margin by 4. They just made the plays when it mattered, and the Bills didn't. And the post-game pressers were hard to watch. Josh Allen's crying. Deion Dawkins is crying. It's a tough scene in Buffalo, and it's just the last way you'd ever think your season would end is that if Josh Allen let you guys down. If you told me that the defense gave up a game-winning drive, if you told me that, someone dropped a pass or James Cook even fumbled, there was multiple other alternatives, but the last thing I would expect is that Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times and you lost to the Broncos to go to the AFC Championship. So to Sunday, Patriots-Texans, ugliest game of the weekend by far. This was a disgusting game to watch. CJ Stroud was 20 of 47, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and Woody Marks also had a fumble. So they had 5 turnovers. And on the other side of the ball, Drake May, it's not like he was taking the greatest care of the football. I mean, he threw an interception. He fumbled the ball 4 times, only lost 2 of them. So they only had 3 turnovers. But a game with 8 total turnovers, it was a gross offensive display. It was just the defenses. Which defense can score? Which defense can force the turnovers closer to the other team's end zone? And it ended up being the Patriots. The Patriots forced more turnovers off Stroud. Stroud was rattled in that first half. And you got to give credit to the Patriots defense as well because they completely took the run game away. Woody Marks was 14 carries for 17 yards. Nick Chubb was 4 carries for 14 yards. They had nothing in the run game. And in that first half, when Stroud had the 4 interceptions, he was forced to – they kind of had to drop him back each time because they were having 0-0 success in the run game. I thought they could have done some things to make it easier on him. I mean, he was clearly struggling. He was clearly missing throws. He was clearly kind of inaccurate. And they continued to go out the first play of the drive. They're backed up in their own territory. They went like a play-action deep shot. Like, throw a screen. You as an offensive coordinator, and it sucks that Nico Collins was out. That's a massive factor for that team. It's their number 1 alpha receiver. But as an offensive coordinator, you have to find some easy throws to get your quarterback involved in the game plan and kind of get him into a rhythm in a game like this because they weren't out of it. There was serious conversations about, is Davis Mills going to go in this game after half? And I didn't think it was the worst idea at all. I honestly did not. But they were down 11 points and they got the ball and they ended up going down and scoring, getting 3 points. They're down 8 and the Patriots fumble and the Texans fumble it right back and the Patriots punted and the Texans had another chance. It was 16-21 and they got a field goal and the defense couldn't hold on enough again. I mean, the defense got enough stops for them to. This was the best defense in the entire NFL. The best defense, arguably. I think the Seahawks are the best. I think the Texans are second best. And I think the Broncos are third. But what CJ Stroud did to this Texans defense is just brutal. It's just brutal. Turn the ball over that many times in a playoff game. When you guys have won 10 straight games, you guys are hot, and he plays his worst game of his probably entire career. That's a tough reality to face. I thought he had a poor day. Obviously, I thought the offensive coordinator had a poor day. Everything that could have went wrong for the Houston Texans went wrong. And to zero fault of the defense. I mean, they gave up 28 points. But that's what happens when your offense turns the ball over 5 times. Like, CJ Stroud just giving the ball away. And they didn't really have weapons. I mean, he's throwing fades to Jaden Higgins. He's throwing Dalton Schultz is 2 for 47. He goes out with an injury. Xavier Hutchinson had 13 targets. That should tell you all you need to know. Christian Kirk only had 6. He was 2 receptions, 20 yards. He had a touchdown after that huge day he had last week. But just kind of a lack of weapons. I mean, you draft 2 second-round receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel had 0 catches, 0 yards. And on the Patriots side, shout out to Drake May. I mean, he needs to take care of the ball. He needs to hold on to that ball because Denver will get after him next week. But I thought he was fitting balls in the tight windows. I thought that he was throwing the football well, to be honest. And, I mean, the stat line isn't fantastic. I mean, 16-27 and 180. But he threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He made throws when it mattered. I mean, the touchdown throw to Booty, touchdown throw to Diggs, touchdown the play to Douglas just kind of start the game and get up and score that first touchdown was massive, very important. Ramondre had a great day, 16 carries, 70 yards. He was huge and just kind of icing the game. Just that hard running factor. It kind of got to the Texans and frustrated them a little bit, and they were able to put together some first downs and some drives to kind of ice the game in the third and fourth quarter. So the Patriots going to face the Broncos. People are picking people feel like the Patriots have already advanced to the Super Bowl, to be honest, and it's hard not to fault them. We'll talk about that game on Friday, but just kind of the worst way to go out in the season if you're the Houston Texans. You had an elite defense. You have a second overall quarterback, and he sends you out like that, and you should go into the offseason like, is this quarterback going to be the one that can get me over the edge? A horrible reality you have to face if you're a Houston Texans fan. So, to the nightcap, what a fun game this was. The Chicago Bears versus the Los Angeles Rams. 20-17 Rams, overtime thriller. And this is not how I expected this game to play out. I thought that this game was going to be kind of, the Bears were going to need to score on any drive possible, on almost every single drive, to be honest. And that's because I thought that Sean McVay and this Matthew Stafford and this Rams offense were going to brutalize this Bears defense. And that is not what they did. That is not what they did. This was a horribly called game by Sean McVay. A pretty poor game for Matthew Stafford. 20 of 42, 260, 6 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He threw some interceptable balls too. There was balls that could have been picked for sure. But they found a way to win. And there was coaching decisions on both sides that I thought were interesting. The way Ben Johnson coached this game frustrated me, and I think it's kind of the main reason that the Bears lost. Obviously, we'll talk about Caleb, but he was stubborn. And I don't blame him to start the game. There's different points of it. To start the game, last week against the Packers, they went down and they kicked the field goal. And the Packers went on and scored 3 touchdowns. To start this game, they get themselves into a 4th and 2. And instead of taking the 3, start the game with points, I think Ben is kind of going into this with the mindset that they need touchdowns, which I agree with. I kind of thought it was going to be a touchdown type game. I didn't think that Dennis Allen and the defense was going to be able to get this many stops on the Los Angeles Rams offense. So I'm fine. You go for it. It's a drop back play call. Caleb just misses Levin. Levin's not too open. It was covered well. The Rams go down and score, 14-play drive, and I'm like, okay, this is a must-score drive for the Bears. And score they do. They have a beautiful drive. 12 plays, 80 yards, they score. And then it's kind of a punt fest. And it's 7-7 for a while, and you get to a point where it's 4th and 1 on the Rams 32, and Kyle Monangai gets stuffed on 4th and 1. And this was a theme. This was a theme. They got stopped 3 times on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. There was 2 of them in an open field, and 1 of them was on the goal line. You can't, and there was multiple times on 3rd and 1 as well, where they're just running Monangai into the back of the guard who's getting blown up, and the left guard gets blown up too because they had to move around the O-line. Joe Tooney's starting the left tackle. They moved another guy in to start at guard. But I hated how he did not make Caleb's legs a factor on any 3rd or 4th and short. This guy is so athletic. He can make a play out of nothing, which we saw later, and I'll talk about in a second. Get under center. You've been faking these runs for so long. Get under center, boot it, and just have him dump it off, or let him be able to use his legs. I thought that was a huge factor in flaw in Ben Johnson's play calling in this game. It wasn't the Packers game script, and he kind of too many times played it like it was. Points were not going to be bad in this game. And on the 2 turnover on downs, you take 6 points early in this game, you probably win the game. You probably do. I mean, you go into half and you're tied. And Sean McVay called a poor game as well. After that 14-play touchdown drive, the Rams punted 6 times before their next touchdown drive, which was in the 4th quarter. They scored in the 1st quarter and didn't score a touchdown again until the 4th quarter on another 14-play drive where they established the run. They were getting way too away from Kyron Williams in this game. He was having success on the ground. 21 carries, 87 yards. Stafford was, I don't know if it was flustered by the cold, but we saw all those cold weather stats during the week, but something was bothering him. He was inaccurate. I thought he played a poor game. And this is kind of a stretch of games that I think he's been pretty poor in. This game, the Panthers game, the Rams have not played good football recently. Going back to the Falcons game, they have been slogging around against these teams. This is 2 games in a row in the playoffs where McVay and Stafford have come out, and I thought I've been lucky to come out of this with a win, quite honestly. What else in this game? Just frustration by the Rams. I mean, Stafford was inaccurate. And we'll get to the end of the game. I was actually pretty, with the way this, I could not believe that the Rams just didn't put these guys away. And The point when I thought it was going to be over was at the end of the fourth quarter when the Bears are down 7 and they drive all the way down. They get to 4th and goal at the 2-yard line. And they just drop back and run these, like this little concept. He's trying to fit it into Burden. It probably should have been a pick 6. Get him moving. Get him moving, dude. Like in the goal line, that's when I feel like notoriously struggled all year. It feels like they've had struggles to finish around within the 5, within the 10. Make his legs a factor, and he can throw it across his body. I think that's a big miss. And I thought the Rams were going to put it away. They need to get 2 first downs. And they got 1, and they stuffed. They didn't trust Stafford on. I mean, it is 3rd and 10, but I thought that's a situation when you're going in the 2-minute warning, McVay's going to trust his guy to ice the game. They did not. And Caleb Williams makes the play of the entire year, the play of the last few years, on 4th and goal. He runs backwards to the 40-yard line, throws the ball 53 yards in the air for the touchdown. That was shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, when you see him running for that far back, the camera goes to the right. You can't see the end zone. When he throws that ball, I mean, I'm just thinking this ball is going. There's going to be like 4 guys that are going to get tipped. The game's going to be over. Cole Kmet makes a great play on the ball. He kind of dekes the defender down, comes back, makes the catch. It was an outstanding play on the ball by him. But wow, that was it was special. And that's why you watch the game. That's why I like Caleb Williams. And the Bears are going to be back. That's the thing. When you get to overtime, this was the frustrating part. When you get the 3 and out on the Rams, that's when I'm like, okay, the Bears are going to win this football game. They have all the momentum. They made that play. They forced the 3 and out. Soldiers rocking. And they're moving the ball. They're at the 50-yard line. And Caleb Williams throws the pick. And it's a miscommunication, or DJ Moore stops running his route. He's running a deep over route. And he just is jogging, and he starts to take it up, and Caleb keeps throwing it. A lot of people, there's a lot of talk like Caleb shouldn't have forced it. He doesn't need to force the ball in that situation. I mean, I agree, but this is how Caleb Williams has played the entire season. It's very easy to say, just check it down, just run to the left. This is how Caleb Williams is. This is Caleb Williams. He's going to live and die taking the shot. And he's a young guy. It's his 2nd year. That's something he needs to learn. In that situation, you only need 15 yards to get the field goal range. Go win the game. I mean, think back to that Packers game, or like the second Packers game where they went in overtime. Do you think if Caleb Williams is told to protect the ball, they just need a field goal, he's not going to take that shot to DJ Moore? That's who he is. Like, yes, was it not objectively not the best decision? DJ Moore stopped running. That's a horrible. That is a huge fault on him for that. But would it have been open if not? I mean, if he keeps running, I think it's probably just incomplete. But I mean, that's Caleb, bro. That's how Caleb plays the game. He's taking those shots. He will learn throughout the year. So as he gets older, you don't need to do that there. Just take the easy one. Take the easy one. Move the ball. Go kick that field goal. But I mean, he's a gunslinger, and that's the way he's played football all season long. So I wasn't too mad at the decision. Like it's horrible for it to end like that. And then the Rams were always going to get in the field goal range, so you can't give that team that many lives. But I mean, the future of the Bears is bright. This is a team that is not going to leave. The defense is only going to get better, and that was their weakness the entire season long. And that's what I thought was so frustrating about the way that they go out is the defense played probably their best game of the entire season. Kyler Gordon played a great game in the slot. The secondary played a hell of a football game. And the offense made the plays. The offense missed opportunities early, not taking the points, missed opportunities on 4th down. I mean, Caleb threw 3 picks, and they were 3 of 6 on 4th down. That's effectively 6 turnovers. Like, you can't – it's hard to win a game playing like that. Like, should they win for 2? I don't know. I like going overtime. All the momentum's on your side. And they hadn't necessarily been clinical inside the 5. Their play calling down there hadn't been super elite. So I'm not mad at not going for 2 there. But the Bears lose in heartbreaking fashion, and the Rams are coming to Seattle. Let me talk about Bo Nix real quick. I kind of forgot to touch on that. I mean, I kind of did, but it sucks. I mean, I'm not a big Bo Nix guy, but you never want to see I mean, now we're going to be watching AFC Championship football, and Jarrett Stidham is going to be starting for the Broncos. I don't like that for any fan base, any franchise. Like, they finally make it after as many years as they haven't been there, and now all the life gets sucked out. I mean, they're still playing for the game, obviously, but it's just a huge dud. It's a huge dud, and it just sucks for Denver fans. I just had to say that. Let's talk Natty, and then I'll talk some coaching stuff at the end. The national championship. what a game. I mean, a lot of people were picking Indiana win by 1,000,000. Indiana's going to beat the brakes off these guys. I had a feeling Miami was going to keep it close. And I posted on Instagram. Follow the Instagram if you haven't yet. I said, I think Miami keeps it close, but Indiana wins the game. I said, I think my prediction was 27-23 or 27-24. Well, I mean, that was pretty spot on. The game started off slow. It starts off kind of a just punt fest. I thought Miami's play calling was pretty bad. They would run the ball with success, and they get in the shotgun and let Carson Beck throw. Carson Beck was not going to win you that football game. That was not going to happen. I mean, that's who he's been all season long. All 3 Miami losses this season ended with a Carson Beck interception. I mean, that the proof's right there. He was 19-32, 232 yards, had that interception, one touchdown, 1 interception. Mark Fletcher had a day again, broke off that 60-yard run and kind of get Miami back in the game. 17 carries, 112 yards, had 2 rushing touchdowns. Malachi Toney, what a game from that guy. 10 receptions, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. CJ Daniels had 4 for 62. On the Indiana side, Mendoza, 16-27, 186. They ran the ball well. Black had 80 yards. Hemby had 60. Omar Cooper, 5 for 71. Charlie Becker, 4 for 65. But Miami's defense, they flustered Mendoza, and they were hitting the shit out of him. That is the one thing. They obviously came up with the game plan. We're going to hit him and make the refs throw the flags. And it seems like the ref didn't want to get involved. They did not want to get involved in this game because they were letting Mendoza take some hits. His nose is bleeding. He's taking a helmet to the chin. On the outside, I mean, you got a receiver on the fade. He's just getting kind of held. It was physical play, but it feels like it's been a flag in majority of the games I've watched this season. And they were letting him play, which, I mean, I got to say, I kind of like. I don't like seeing these flags flying all over the screen, especially in the national championship game. So Miami they go down 10-0 at halftime. They have nothing going. Absolutely nothing going. They've had 2 3-and-outs, 3 3-and-outs, 1 5-play punt drive. They missed a field goal going in the half. They're down 10. They don't get the ball. And it's like they need to find some sort of groove on offense. And I didn't think it was going to come with Beck. The run game was always going to have to spark their movement on offense. And to be fair to them, they forced the punt to start the drive. And Mark Fletcher breaks the 57-yard run to get them back in. And it's a 7-10 game. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-point game, and Miami's at home in the Natty. And the defense is playing really, really well. And they forced 2 more punts off of Indiana. And their special teams bites them. They get the punt. And it all stems from the fact their offense was so poor in this game. It was horrible. Carson Beck, I'm so happy he's done in college. I don't want to watch this guy play football again. It was like we get stuffed on first down. But instead of trying to go back to the run, let's just try and drop Carson Beck back. No. And to be fair, he did make some plays later in the game. But your best bet is establishing Fletcher and hoping Fletcher can break something because Beck was not able to do anything the whole first 3 quarters of the game. And then they get their punt blocked and they're down 10. And that felt insurmountable at times because I was like, I don't think the Carson Beck's able to connect together multiple long drives. And that is exactly what he did, though. And it started to come when he started to kind of play make. He wasn't playing in stride. He wasn't taking the one step, going this direction and throwing. He was using his legs a little bit. And that's when he was having success. And they were able to move the football. He was making some big throws on third downs. Like he was finding guys over the middle of the field late. It was impressive. And this fourth quarter was just punch thrown. Each team was throwing haymakers because they made it 17-14. And then Fernando Mendoza has his Heisman moment in the national championship game. How cool is that? I don't know anything that he necessarily had on all season long because they were blowing so many guys out. He has his Heisman moment in this game. The 4th and 4, the Stones on Signetti, 4th and 4 at the 12. You can go up 6 or you can go for it. He says we're going. They call the timeout, send him back out there. Quarterback draw. And it doesn't look open because there's a safety coming down. The 2 guys are blocking. The safety's coming here. This guy's locked in. This guy's not. He's going to make the play. And Mendoza jukes right, kind of goes around his own blocker to make the play and score. Spin move, dives in. That was the picture-esque moment. And I was like, I don't think that Beck's going to be able to drive down again to make the 1-score game. And that's exactly what it is. It was an 8-play drive. Malachi Toney, that's when he was special. I mean, he is so fast after the catch. Every time he catches the ball and makes that first guy miss, I almost think that he's going to score a touchdown because he is so fast. He's so much faster than everyone on the field. If you give him one crease, he's going to score. he's a special player. I mean, you have in the fact that you have 2 more years of him. He's 17 years old. He's the real Ryan Williams. This guy's 17. Ryan Williams was a one-play merchant who was 17. But what Malachi Tony is doing is so much more impressive than that. And then, I mean, it was a perfect national title game and finish to the season, because I wanted Miami to have the ball at the end of the game. I wanted Beck to have the ball with a chance to clinch the game. And that he did. Because Miami found a way to hold the Hoosiers to a field goal. And this would have been a choke job if the Hoosiers lost this game. And that is because Miami's out of timeouts, or they're about to start using their time. I believe they used one or two, and it was 1st and 10, and they have a 9-yard run. So it kind of feels like, okay, this game is over. It's 2nd and 1, 1 first down ends it. You just sneak the ball or run the ball with Hemby. And they have a false start on 2nd and 1 that gets the Canes right back in it, because you stuff 2 runs in a row. They don't let Mendoza throw it. And Sig, I don't know. I liked his decision here. I saw someone criticizing it. They're like, if they lost, it's been Sig's fault. He went for it earlier. It was 4th and 4. If you score a touchdown, you get it. The game's over. But his reasoning made sense, because he wanted to make Carson Beck go and score a touchdown to win the game with 0 timeouts. And that's exactly what he did in kicking the field goal, and his decision paid off, because this was the most Carson Beck ending to a game of all time, the most Carson Beck ending to his career. Multiple moments I can just think of that Georgia-Bama game last year. He roars back from 28 points, or whatever it was, and throws the pick on the little noodle arm flip to the corner of the end zone. It was never close. This one, he started to throw a hole shot from the right hash all the way to the opposite side of the field. It's cover 2. He does get leverage on that corner, but the safety's coming over the top, and there's no one underneath, so the corner can just keep flying back. You have to throw a perfect ball like 40 yards on a rope to the back corner. He never has that in him. He just flips the ball out there, noodle arms the ball out there. It gets picked off, and the Hoosiers are national champions. I kind of found myself rooting for Miami this time during the game, but I'm happy that Indiana won. I'm happy they finished the story. I'm happy Signetti finishes the story. I'm happy for Mendoza. The Heisman wins the Natty, and he had his moment in this game. And I was just happy to see a good game. If Indiana blew him out, I wouldn't have been as satisfied. I'm happy that we got a good game in the national championship to conclude a great college football season. Quite honestly, it was perfect. It was the perfect ending to the season, and I'm happy that the Hoosiers came out on top. So that's going to wrap up that. I'm trying to think some coaching news. John Harbaugh gets hired by the Giants. Kevin Stefanski to the Falcons, but I think it's a great hire. People thought he should have maybe stuck around in Cleveland. Cleveland was a dump. I think they needed a reset. He keeps on Jeff Ulbrich, I think, which is a great move, because what Jeff Ulbrich has done with that Falcon defense, you don't want to have to make those young guys learn a new scheme. They were thriving at the end of that season. So to keep him around there, that's great news for Atlanta fans. And Stefanski's going to hopefully be able to utilize those weapons on offense. Like, the talent is there. Utilize it, use them, and win some games. I mean, the talent's there for that team. If that team doesn't win no more than 10 games next season, it's an absolute failure by him, in my opinion, because the people are there. This isn't a rebuilding type thing. John Harbaugh goes to the Giants. I think it's a good signing. Jackson Dart kind of needs someone stable at the helm for him. I'm interested to see who they hire at the OC, because you don't want to get him killed. You need to hire someone that's going to make him the best pro quarterback, that's going to let him evolve as a passer and let him be him when he can, and be able to call those plays in those big moments. Breaking news as I'm recording this, Mike McDaniel is hired to be the Chargers offensive coordinator. I think that's a outstanding hire. I mean, get some offensive linemen. He's going to revamp the running game for them, hopefully, ideally, in that Shanahan scheme, and hopefully kind of settle down Herbert. Let Herbert relax a little bit, give him some stability, and hopefully re-unlock Ladd McConkey, re-unlock Quentin Johnson, unlock Oronde Gadsden to the fully, Marion Hampton, unlock him. There's some real promise there for my boy Mike Stewart for the Los Angeles Chargers. Anything else I'm missing? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Going to have an episode coming out Friday. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe, leave a comment. I'm trying to grow the channel on YouTube, and doing these video podcasts is kind of my first way to do it. So if you're listening to this, go to the YouTube, give it a subscribe. Just look up Diego Collie Football Show. Give the video a like, and I'll see you guys on Friday to talk about the NFC and AFC championship, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Rams, and the Denver Broncos versus the New England Patriots. See you later.